And you can go ahead and take a seat here. We got a little special piece that we're going to share here with everyone. So I got a good friend up here, Pastor Curt. Pastor Curt's been our children's ministry pastor for the last 11 and a half years, and Curt's going to share, come on now. Curt's going to share some things that are on his heart, some things that God's moving and working, so.
Thank you. I'm Curt Nelson, children's ministry pastor, and it's been a joy for 11 and a half years. I feel like God is calling me to step down from working at the church in order to create children's ministry curriculum full-time. It's something I feel He's called me to in a very specific and precious way, and Pastor Josh and the elders have been super supportive and encouraging through the whole process, and so I'm going to kind of back up and tell you the whole story, but it's all good stuff that God is doing. So I've been teaching kids' church, the kindergarten through fifth graders during second service for years, and I've never been super thrilled with the video curriculum options that are out there for kids' church, and so I decided to write my own in my free time, and I wanted to do a curriculum that had more theology. I thought the ones that were available to purchase were weak on theology. They were a lot of telling the kids what to do or what not to do, but very little explanation of why they should do it or why they shouldn't do it, and not tying it into how it's based on God's character and His plan for our lives and how His amazing love for us should make us want to do what's right. And then I thought the videos also could be a lot better, though. Not much plot or story to draw the kids in. So I started working on making a video curriculum that had good theology and good stories to really catch the kids' attention. So I planned out 16 seasons of Spyence curriculum, and each season would be 6 episodes that you would do over 6 Sunday mornings, and those 6 episodes would cover one area of theology. And then after the 16 seasons, which would be about 2 years if you were going through it, every Sunday with kids, they would have this good foundation of the theology of our faith. So in each week of Spyence, there's some video segments that introduce and illustrate the lesson with a fun story that star the Spyentists. So with the blue hair is my daughter Victoria, and next to her is my daughter Emily. Chris is Victoria's son, so my husband. So my son-in-law. And on the right is one of their best friends from high school, Secret Agent K. And these scientists work at Spyence headquarters, of course, and each week they try to thwart one of the evil robots' latest evil plans, and so there's real danger and real stakes, and it's important to the kids. They really get into it, holds their attention, it really helps introduce and illustrate the lesson. There's special effects and an exciting musical score and humor to draw the kids in, and most importantly, each week, one of the characters learns an important Bible lesson and models spiritual growth for the kids in our church. So this is the lesson we just watched over there in kids' church a minute ago. But the videos really just augment what the teacher is doing in the class. So I also write a teacher's guide that the teacher uses to go through the lesson. So you can go to the next slide. Oh, sorry, I'm doing it wrong. That's why he's waiting for me. This is a behind-the-scenes peek. I'm sorry, I'm messing you up. This is us filming in the Brown House, or W4, 2 summers ago with our green screens. And then the next picture is the youth modular when Pastor Gary let us use it last summer. And you can see James Furlow and Grady Holiday. So that's what it looks like when we film these videos. And they help the teacher. So the teacher's guide, the teacher goes through. Starts out with a fun intro game to get the kids into the lesson. There's a memory verse activity, so they memorize a verse each week. There's a Bible lesson. There's a Spyence experiment, which is a hands-on activity that kids do and take home with them and helps them remember the lesson. And then my favorite part is the top secret code word, which is a theology term that kids learn, and they memorize the definition, and they see how it applies to their life. So today, Rochelle Collier is down there teaching the kids about preservations. Last week we learned about inspiration, that the Bible is inspired. Today we're learning that God has preserved the Bible as it's been copied down through the years so that the Bible we have today is accurate and faithful to the original, and it's a perfectly trustworthy guidebook for our lives. So I think that's so cool that kids get to learn theology. So we did the first season of Spyence. It was 6 lessons. And from the time we started writing and to the filming and editing, getting it ready for kids' church, took 2 years to do 6 weeks of lessons in my free time, and that was a little discouraging. But when we showed it to the kids in kids' church, it was great. They loved it. They were learning theology. Kids were running up to me months later wanting to tell me the secret code words that they had learned, and it was awesome. And then we put some of the videos on YouTube, and they really resonated with kids and parents. And
yeah, 500,000 hits.
Yeah, 500,000 views.
Just a few.
So that's a lot of Bible lessons and gospel presentations going out of Northwest Hills. And it got picked up by Shalom World TV, which was a little Christian cable network. And just recently, it was translated into Kinyarwandan. One of the videos was translated into Kinyarwandan, so kids in Rwanda are watching some Spyence videos. And it just really seemed to be meeting a need. I put it up on my website so that other churches could buy it. And I think 17 churches now have started using Spyence Mission X, and they love it, and they want more. And I get emails all the time, when's the next season coming out? When's the next season coming out? And that was the problem. So we started this 6 years ago. In 6 years, I've come out with 3 seasons, and I want to do 16. And I just sat down. I was thinking, wow, at this rate, my daughters, by the time we film the last season, are going to be 50 years old. Like, seriously. And so,
what's the problem?
Yeah. I actually shared this in kids' church, and I think it was Heidi Allison maybe volunteered. So I'll take their place. But I was praying, for 2 years now, actually, I've been praying every day. God, what's your plan for Spyence? What do you want me to do? Because I feel really drawn to finish these 16 seasons of Spyence quickly. I also love my job here at church. What's your plan for me? And recently, I was out in my backyard one night praying under the stars, and God spoke to me in a way that I've never had God speak to me, where I heard him speak words into my mind, and the only time in my whole life. But God made it all about the church, and he said, Curt, when you came to Northwest Hills, Cindy Pinn and Vicki Bjornstead left you a wonderful children's ministry, and you need to do the same thing for the next person. So when you have the children's ministry ready to hand over to your successor, then your responsibilities at church will be done, and go do Spyence. So I ran into the house to tell Ruth before I forgot what God said to me. And my wife, Ruth, was in a deep conversation with her sister that I didn't want to interrupt. So I typed it all into my computer so I wouldn't forget. And I got to work the next day on making a punch list of things I thought God wanted me to do here. Like Vicki and Cindy handed me wonderful classrooms for all the classes. So I got back to work on finishing up the room remodels. And when I say I got back to work on it, I mean Randy and Carolyn Teagarden and James Finicatero and Mark Curtis did all the actual work, and some other helpers. But those are basically done and ready for the families, classes to move back into. And Vicki and Cindy handed me a nice list of all the volunteers that work in each class at church. And so I started calling all my volunteers and making a list for, hey, when we start children's ministry up full swing again, do you want to come back to the same position? Do you want to change positions? Do you need to take a break? So I'm making a nice list to hand over. I've called pretty much all of the elementary and preschool teachers. So nursery volunteers expect a call from me in the next week or two. Scheduled sports camp, and just all the things. Anyways, I had a long punch list. I was nearing the end of it. So I gave Pastor Josh and the elders notice that March 31st will be my last day on staff here. And it's bittersweet because I love our children's ministry team so much. And I love the kids and parents on Sundays. I love working in the office with everybody. But I'm also excited about doing Spyence, and we'll still be here, so we'll still get to see all of our friends at Northwest Hills. And I'm excited to see where our church is going with Pastor Josh and Pastor Gary and Justin and Mark and Krissa and the elders leading us forward. And I have to say, Pastor Josh and the elders have been super supportive and incredibly generous in launching us out to do this Spyence curriculum ministry. So I'm excited to finish up this month. Next month, I'm going to start working full-time on a season on theology proper that teaches kids about God's characteristics, the Trinity, etc. And as soon as I finish that, I'll start working on a season on ecclesiology, teaching the kids about the church, and so on and so forth. So in summary, I have accepted a full-time position as head of curriculum development at the fictional Spyence headquarters. And I don't know how much it pays yet, if at all, or it doesn't have any benefits, but the secret plans computer room is so cool. And the retirement plan is out of this world, so I'm very excited. And I want to thank you, church, for 11 and a half wonderful years on staff here at Northwest Hills, and I'm excited to finish up this month on staff and then join you next month as a civilian.
Thank you for that.
Oh, thank you, guys. It's been a privilege.
I feel like, I found out a week ago, so this is all news to me. But I've known for a little while. I mean, when your children's pastor has the word Spyence written on his car license plate, and, all your kids talk about is how awesome these videos are, and you're seeing just the product, you go, I'm not ignorant of the future of, oh man, this is really cool. And so when Curt told me, obviously just super bummed because we love Curt. Everyone at Northwest Hills loves Curt. So, he comes into my office and he says, I'm shaking. And I'm like, oh, wait, now I'm shaking. But then he says, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just shifting my focus in ministry. Just such a kingdom mind. So he's staying at Northwest Hills, going to be a part, and we're going to try to figure out how to partner with them going forward. But just a shift in ministry. And so my hat's off to you, to Ruth. Obviously, it's a huge leap of faith, jumping out to do something. You're running to something, not away from something, and that's incredibly commendable, listening and obeying God there. So we love you. You will always have a place in this family. And thank you, a huge thank you. I mean, our church is built in a lot of ways around a really healthy kids ministry, and so, man, you have done a phenomenal job.